There's absolutely massive news coming out of Celtic yesterday, the fact that Kyogo could be out for 4 months. But before we talk about that, we need to listen to Brendan Rodgers and what he said about the Matt O'Reilly situation yesterday.
Talked about players coming in. What about players going out? I mean, Matt O'Reilly is one that has been spoken about a number of times. I mean, do you expect him to be here come the end of the window? You don't need to sell it, I presume.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the honest answer. I think that you see with him, he's an incredibly talented player. There's a value that we have for him. And if that's not met, he will be here. It's as simple as that. He's really happy here, but it has to be something that the club and from himself that draws him away.
Now, there was a massive game yesterday, and it was a cup game. We got through to the next round of the cup. Brendan Rodgers did speak about that. What about the man himself? Yes, Nico Kuhn scores an absolute cracker of a goal again. Dyson scores a couple. Who is our striker? We'll talk about the whole Kyogo situation a bit more in a minute. But Celtic did have 12 shots at goal yesterday. They had 7 on target. The possession was 61%. It was 13 fouls by Celtic, 1 yellow card. There was no red cards. And there were 5 corners all for Celtic at the game yesterday. But let's listen to what the manager has to say about the game.
Did you enjoy that one today? Good result?
Yeah, I thought we were very good. Worked ever so hard. Played some great football. Defended really well, counter-press well. So, yeah, very pleasing.
And Deza Maeda doesn't need to prove to you at all what he's capable of, but a great tactic to have him through the middle there today. And, well, he looked like he enjoyed himself.
Yeah, I think he's obviously his best position and he likes to play off the side. But I hear all this stuff about him not being able to maybe play as a striker. But that's 5 goals in 2 games he scored for me as a striker. I played him in Yokohama in Japan. He's got a hat-trick. Today he had 2, could have had more. He's a guy that's played for Japan in the World Cup as a striker, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah.
So I thought he was absolutely fantastic today, coming in and playing in that position.
Brendan, having said all that, and I think you obviously touched on it, he sees himself preferably just off that left-hand side. Yeah. Performances like that, and obviously Yokohama you're talking about, how happy are you that he's a genuine other alternative now as a striker? You brought Ida in, it's Kyogo. It looks like a third genuine option as a striker.
Yeah, well, he gives us what we want. He can go into depth, and as soon as he knew he was playing it, the coaches and we went through with him some of the reinforcing his movements again as a striker and getting into the space because that's his strength. So it gives us a great option having that sort of flexibility along the front line.
I think when you talk about counter press there, I don't think there's much better is there than Maeda when you want to counter press and lose the ball in that final third. He's just 100 mile an hour. He double and triple presses. It's amazing to see.
It's one of the things that hopefully I've passed on to the players and coming in terms of that ability to double press. And I said before the game that today our playmaker is our counter press. That's the playmaker for the game. So we'll take the ball, we'll have a lot of the ball, but as soon as we lose it, we've got to get onto the ball. But not only that, you have to go with everything you have. Everything you have to win it back. And I thought that hunger was there in the team.
And you must be extremely happy to see that because that was not at the same level that it is now, even when you came in at the start of last season. There's been a huge improvement in that respect.
Yeah, 100%, Michael. I think that obviously different challenges, availability of players, people thinking that you're going to come in and do a lot of different things, but what we have, it's similar sort of structures really, same movements coming in on the inside, but I think the players probably having the trust now, and because a lot of the players were new when I came in, understanding how we want to work and how we want to play, and there's just little adaptations around the shape and structure. So, but now you see them in flow, and now the mentality is very good and performing very well.
When you look at your squad and you talk about the way they're playing just now, is there much more that, I know a manager will always want to add more, but is there much more that you feel you need in order to be where you want them to be?
Yeah, I think this period is pretty straightforward. I had said right at the beginning before the first game that the reality is the team probably won't change so much, but still the guys on the sides be ready to come in because you don't need to. It's not complicated. You get the games. There's no midweek games, so you can keep your rhythm, keep your momentum, keep your flow. But we have to have energizers to come in. But after the international break, then the games between then and through to the next international break, or through into March certainly, are heavy. And if we want to have the intensity in the game to sustain it, then we would need a stronger squad.
Is there anywhere in the park in particular that you're looking at and feeling that you would ideally want to strengthen?
Yeah, we have a few areas that I would like to do, but
Where
I
are they?
can't tell you, Meg.
And is that
And Brendan Rodgers not telling us who and what positions that he wants to get players in. I think that we all know that it has to be the position that Scales plays in, because let's face it, having the only player available to Brendan Rodgers is Stephen Welsh going into the Champions League doesn't fill the Celtic fans with a vast amount of joy. And yeah, we're only one injury away. Look at it this way. We're going to talk about Kyogo in a second, but look at it this way. If Scales gets injured, we then have the thought of bringing in Stephen Welsh. Now, Stephen Welsh is a decent player, but can he do it at that level? Can he do it consistently at that level? And I think we all know the answer to that. Brendan Rodgers does like him. He had got a new contract because he needs to add to the homegrown talent quota. But we're a few injuries away from being in a real worrying period for Brendan Rodgers. Remember last year we were struggling for defenders and we brought in Nat Phillips. If Greg Taylor gets injured, we're goosed. If Scales gets injured, we're up shit creek with a paddle. And that's the reality of the situation. Now, the reality of the situation for Kyogo is even worse. Kyogo, Roger said that Kyogo may need 4 months out for surgery on a long-standing shoulder. We all know the long-standing shoulder issue that Kyogo has had. He's had it before he came to Celtic. The Celtic boss, Brendan Rodgers, admits surgery may be the only option to overcome this problem, which has hampered the new start to the season, it said. Kyogo was absent for the 3-1 victory yesterday. Having popped his shoulder the week before against Hibs, and I did say this. I said this during pre-season. We all know what players were going to do to Kyogo. I did say it. I said, look, Kyogo and his shoulder, the first defender that's just going to barge into Kyogo and knock him over to target that shoulder, it will happen. It's the SPFL. Do you know, it's rough and tumble football. It's not silky smooth, don't touch each other football that you sometimes see on the continent. It's Scottish football. It's the rough and tumble, and hard tackles get put in. We've seen it for a couple of seasons now. Kyogo getting targeted off the ball to try and get his shoulders. Other teams will target that, whether you like it or not. Other teams will target it. Rodgers watched his team put Hibs from the double from Dyson Myra, the goal from Nico Kuhn. But then he was asked. He says he's confirmed there's no immediate solution to Kyogo's injury unless he opts for surgery, which will bring 4 months layoff. I don't think Kyogo's not the type of player to, at this point of the season, go, I'm going to go for surgery now, boss, so that it's done and dusted. I think if Celtic knew that situation, why didn't they do the same as what they did with Cameron Carter-Vickers? Remember when Ange was here, Cameron Carter-Vickers wanted to play for the Derby game, and Brent and Ange Postecoglou wanted him not to play that game, but the big man was confident enough to play that game. But as soon as he played it, he's like, right, that's it, in and get the knee done and dusted, get that operation sorted. Why didn't Celtic do that with Kyogo? We have known, Brendan Rodgers has known that he's wanted a minimum of 2 strikers in. It showed how threadbare that we are. I mean, you got to laugh at the zombies yesterday. I've seen quite a lot of them laughing at the fact that Celtic had to play Dyson as a makeshift striker. This is the team who celebrated winning against another team as if they had just won the cup. So less we talk about them, the better. He says he believes that's something that he had in Japan, and he's just managed his shoulder issue. From time to time, it gets a little irritable and a little bit sore. You could have surgery, but that'll probably take him out for 4 months. It's only him that can decide that. Kyogo will not go for surgery, so let's all calm down with the shock headlines that Kyogo will be out for 4 months. Brendan Rodgers just said, look, it's up to the player. If he wants to go for the surgery, we can't stop him. And we want to get him done. We need to keep our players fit. But it would mean he would be out for 4 months. I don't think Kyogo will do it. I think Kyogo will want to play in the Champions League. But that gives us a different worry for the second half of the season. Although Kyogo hasn't really been missed when it comes to goals at the start of the season, there's been a lot of other players scoring goals to add to the Kyogo goal that he scored. But a 29-year-old, he knows what his body will need, and he'll know that it will need surgery at some point. With Kyogo absent, Adam Ida coming off the bench, there was shock news yesterday that Adam Ida didn't start and decided to go with Dyson, who, well, you can't knock it because he scored the goals in the first quarter of an hour. He scored twice in 20 minutes. Celtic dominated the game. It was a fantastic game to watch. Not that I got to watch much of the second half because my mate was yapping in my ear. I had a mate over from Scotland yesterday and we went out and had a good few pints at the game. Hence the reason there was no live yesterday. There will be a live tonight, 8 o'clock Celtic part time as normal. Will Kyogo decide for... No, he won't. He just won't. I don't think he will. Now, when it comes to the Celtic news, there is one piece of news that came out late last night that Celtic will receive money now for Daniel Kelly rather than him leaving at the end of December. Going into January, Celtic midfielder Daniel Kelly is set to join Millwall, as we all know. He's set to leave Celtic Park this week. He is ready to leave Celtic Park this week. Celtic have accepted an offer close to £400,000 plus add-ons after he rejected a 4-year deal at $5,000 a week. Yes, he rejected the offer of $5,000 a week at Celtic, which is absolutely unbelievable when you think about it. He's a young boy that has came through the system, that has done nothing in the game whatsoever. And I think, Celtic will be... People will say, what's wrong with this backup at Celtic? The guys went for money. Young Daniel Kelly's went for money. He's went from having the chance, in my opinion, to become a legend at Celtic. He had that opportunity to become legendary status. He has let his... And I feel really disappointed and let down in the whole Daniel Kelly situation. The fact that Celtic offered him $5,000 a week. That's $20,000 a month. For the average person watching that, there's an unbelievable amount of Celtic fans that do not earn $20,000 a year. Put that into perspective, you little... As many people that watch this channel would give their right arm to have had that opportunity just once in their life to pull on the green and white hoops and play for Celtic. And then to get offered a 4-year deal, you would have done anything to play for Celtic as a kid. Everyone would have done it. He's done that. He got on. He scored a goal, a fantastic goal for Celtic early, halfway through last season. To turn down $5,000 a week, football's gone mad. He's done nothing in the game. He's a prospect player, but he obviously thinks bigger things of himself. And I hope he does okay. But I think a lot of Celtic fans, when they hear that he's rejected, an 18-year-old rejecting $20,000 a month. $20,000 a month. Let's put this into perspective. $20,000 a month. I just think it is absolutely disgusting. And I hope... I don't hope anything. He's done and dusted. That's the last time we talk about him. He had the opportunity to be a Celtic legend. I thought he would have been Celtic captain material in years to come. But he will be joining Millwall after Celtic got money for the player. They have got $400,000 plus add-ons. It'll be interesting to see if they do have any type of sell-on clause within that. That's the only reason that people will keep watching it, to see if he actually makes it. Celtic are still looking for the Liverpool defender Owen Beck. There's other speculation out there, but until anything really comes to fruition, there's no point in talking about it. Anyway, on that note, I'm actually still really devastated about the whole Michael Kelly, Daniel Kelly Not Michael Kelly. He was a prick for Celtic as well, wasn't he? The whole Daniel Kelly situation, and I mean, I was one of the. I was very, very vocal last season about how good and the potential that this young guy had. And when you're offered $5,000 a week at Celtic, 20 grand a month, that's just unbelievable. Anyway, on that note, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Make sure you join us for the live this evening, 8 o'clock Celtic Park time, where we can talk about all the speculation of the day. And I'm sure there'll be more transfer news, especially with the fact that Celtic and Kyogo are thinking about taking 4 months out of the game to get his shoulder injury sorted. Will he come back a better player? Will he come back fit? Will he be able to maintain his fitness and walk straight back into the team? Will Celtic go out and spend the money on a left back, on a central defender, on maybe another midfielder, but definitely another striker?